Rings of Power Season 2 is finally over, and I can safely say this show sucks ass. It didn't take a full 8 episodes to figure out, but Amazon followed in the footsteps of the worst MCU and Star Wars shows, where each episode is worse than the one before it. Nope, being compared to Disney is not a compliment, because how are they doing right now? Amazon's Rings of Power isn't doing much better, as it's probably the dumbest, nostalgia-baiting bit of acting cringe I've seen this side of the Acolyte. It was fun making fun of it for the first 5 episodes of Season 2, but by the time it culminated in the finale, the inadvertent laughs became fewer and far between. Disdain had set in. The acting in this show absolutely sucks, because the actors, good as they may be, have an idiotic script they have to work with. The characters are absolute dumbasses whose motivations change at the whim of the plot. Adar hates the elves and wants them dead, until he doesn't and wants peace. And Celebrimbor gets tricked by dad joke level cliches. Not Gandalf, who's revealed as Gandalf through the bullshit mystery box style storytelling popularized by the show Lost, is the equivalent reaction to rat poison, as in no shit, just kill me. This guy's entire story arc this season is walking around utterly fucking bewildered, going and he finds a stick like he's in Harry Potter looking for a wand. Compelling. Let's stretch that throughout an entire season. But fear not, they have 20,000 other characters to divert off to and bore you with. This show has way too many stories happening all at once, and it would be different if they didn't all suck shit. Like if a Batman cartoon was rewritten by a modern writer.
Oh yeah, sure, Mom and Dad, I'll go to school, become a psychiatrist. Now look at me, I'm a fucking scarecrow and I'm running away from a psychiatrist as a bat.
We have dozens of idiot characters running around spouting the worst dialogue this side of She-Hulk, but it'll always be more egregious in a show like this because it's fake Tolkien wannabe trash. So if the acting sucks because the characters suck because they're written like trash with horrible dialogue, what else can go wrong, you might ask? How about the most anticlimactic, pointless battle on current television or cinema? Nothing more than a nostalgia-laced waste of time. The most compelling way to watch Rings of Power is to go into it with Madame Web in mind. You might find the show is ironically great because it's so hilariously bad, and that's what I've tried to capture in this video series, narrating each episode as entertaining as I can, or at least past the low bar for entertainment set by the show. Let's dive right into the cesspool of fun that is episodes 6, 7, and 8, but before we dive headfirst into the Shawshank Tank, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, and as always, I timestamp everything for your convenience, but if you would be so kind as to watch the ad, it's always greatly appreciated. Hey you, yeah you, the viewer, have you ever been hungry before? I bet you have, and I bet you'll be hungry in the future too, maybe even today. And maybe you find the mere idea of cooking or finding healthy foods to be stressful. Well, no more. Today's sponsor is HelloFresh, a food delivery service that eliminates the stress of meal planning, and it makes it easier to get fresh food on your plate. I like to think I can cook pretty well, but I don't get to showcase it much. I shamefully admit to my food delivery habit. Well, HelloFresh bridges that gap between my laziness and my desire to eat healthy by delivering high-quality, fresh foods already portioned for me to cook in no time. And I can quickly and easily go through their menu of over 50 dinner options that suit any healthy lifestyle. Your delivery is customizable from week to week and consists of foods designed to mix and match your needs from fit and wholesome, family-friendly, vegetarian, and more. Everything's customizable down to the delivery date, and you can easily skip a week if you can't cook at home. To top it off, HelloFresh is giving all new subscribers a free breakfast item for life. That's one free breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. Click the link in the description or use my code and get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while your subscription is active if you're in the US. Outside the US, the local discount will apply. Thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video, and now back to my nightmare. Episode 6. This episode starts off with a recap I actually needed. I've been away from the show for a couple weeks and I'm binging episodes 6 through 8, and I've already forgotten everything that's happened previously because the show's the TV equivalent of prison food. We start where the Dwarven rings are all fucked up, because of course they are, so Cuckboy Brimbor accepts creating 9 more rings to redeem them. If the Dwarven rings are already corrupting the ring bearers, what the hell is the point of eventually creating the one ring? Is the nostalgia memberberry shit worth the enormous plot hole this creates, or am I just pissing into the wind here? Fuck off. We start with Black Legolas coming across some orcs who, if I recall, were supposed to be afraid or allergic to sunlight. Anyway, like Jackie Chan, he says, "I don't want any trouble," and promptly murders them. He finds the Jack Sparrow pirate map they were carrying, and we transition to Cucka Brimbor, who's chewing up the scenery all pissed off he can't complete the rings for men. Soras walks in and tells everyone to take a break because his beta is too tired to even remember names at this point.
Cannot be expected to remember everything.
Earlier, I could have sworn I left my creasing hammer just here.
You mean that hammer?
Poor Cucky is having a dementia moment because, hey, the hammer is right there. The guy you've been questioning about being manipulative couldn't possibly be manipulating you, dog. My guy is absolutely losing his mind.
I am well.
Kukka asks Sauron to go ask the dwarves where the Mithril is, and I'm sure he's not going to shake them down till gold coins fall out. Soras gets standby meat and they're like, wanna see a dead body? And he gazes upon a poor guy who had a mafia-style message carved into his chest that asks, where is he? Knowing the message is directed toward himself, he tells them to bury it. We then refocus on Adar and Strong Woman, with Adar known as the lone interesting character at this point. He reveals he has the crown of Morgoth with him and he wants Galadriel, meow, because she has an elven ring. Surprise, surprise. He also reveals that he knew Halbrand was Sauron. Wow, cool, so why the fuck didn't you try and kill him when you had him captured? Why the fuck did you leave him guarded by some dipshits and a dog? Why the fuck did you let him go just to go track him down again? This show sucks. Elsewhere, Pharazôn and his Jack Nicholson eyebrows have put Elendil on trial for high treason, where he aims to set him free because of his past service to the throne if he pledges faith to the new ruler. And this guy has the best voice. Elendil, son of Amendil, do you renounce your crimes? He renounces his crimes, but when it comes to honoring the new king, he promptly tells them to eat shit. Now, let's bounce to the 20th character we're following. Not Gandalf and Bomb Bombadil, who's trying to teach him how to be a wizard, Harry. Oh shit, quick, let's jump characters again and go back to the not hobbits. And they're making poison darts by squeezing the life out of a snake. Fuck yeah. White Lizzo and Diversity Nobbit are falling for each other. Duh. Yeah, so let's jump back to Not Badil and Nondalf, where Tom Badil has taken him to Ollivander's wand shop to find his staff. Jesus Christ, so Not Gandalf's arc this season really is the first Harry Potter book. Nondalf pleads that he has to go find Nori or they'll die, and god damn it, the next line will annoy the piss out of you.
Many that die deserve life, some that live deserve death. Who are you to give it to them?
Okay, so one of the best Gandalf lines wasn't even his. He stole it from fucking Temu Bombadil. This smack in the face to the fans, all for a he said the thing moment. Get actually fucked. Then Tom Bombadil pulls the Batman and disappears.
So that's what that feels like.
Back to Sauron, who is indeed shaking down the leprechauns for gold coins, and he says the thing.
To help build platforms, mineshaft, or perhaps Khazad-dûm would prefer something more precious.
Man, this show is the best at reminding you of better media. King Durin tells Soras he won't be getting his Lucky Charms, and after he departs, tells the prince with war approaching on Middle-earth, he's actually going full Tony Stark and will be an arms dealer for Mithril. King Durin's ring is possessing him the way the One Ring does. So again, I ask, what the hell is the point of creating the One Ring when each one is doing the same thing? Oh right, for the sake of nostalgia at the expense of the story.
Father, take off the ring. I will not. It is mine. Belongs to me.
Oh, he said the thing. He said the thing. Seal clap. Disa tries to convince her husband he needs to rally his people against the king, but he disagrees in some campy-ass acting.
I still see my father lost and far away, yes, but he's still in there.
Back to Elendil, who refuses to accept the offer of grace in exchange for loyalty. He repeats the best line in the entire series.
The sea is always right.
The sea is always right. Fuck yeah. This show just gets better and better. How about this? And it's not even out of context.
Is that meant to frighten us off?
No, they are.
Okay, so she's the fucking Dark Knight. Got it. Back to Elendil, Queen Regent bargains to take his place and be killed at sea instead. But the giant monster that pulls her down refuses to eat her. I guess deeming her innocent? How does that work? Who gives a shit? Am I right? Afterward, Pharazôn uses the Palantir and he's next in line to find out Halbrand is actually Sauras, Bull of the Cucks. Back to Galadriel and Adar. She reveals Elrond's plan to invade the city of Region with an army of elves to stop Sauron. And I guess she's decided now that the rings need to be destroyed. What? How and why has she decided that's a good idea? Obviously it is, but she was fervently against it up until this point. And she switched because reasons? Surprise, lady. Adar wanted you to reveal all this stuff. Haha, you fell right into his trap. Or is it what Sauron wants? Well, Adar says, who cares? And moves the fuck on as his legion marches toward the city. In the city, Kukka turns against Sauron and marches outside, finally coming to his senses. He refuses to finish the rings. But like any good gaslighter, Sauron lures him back in with sweet nothings and a giant chunk of mithril and Thor's hammer to finish the construction. At the same time, the orcs launch their attack on the city. Episode 7. man. The episode starts in Celebrimbor's delusion as he stares into the beautiful morning light sipping a spot of pee. He's finally allowing himself to create the 9 rings of men, uninhibited by the world around him. He goes Green Mile and sees Mr. Jangles on the floor and gets all excited, whispering, "Oh geez boss, look at that there," to himself, when he's caught by a demanding Sauron who keeps placing sexy orders on him. Come. Cuckabrim is slowly starting to realize the illusion he's in, but Soras convinces him otherwise and exits the chamber into reality, where everything's blowing up around him and he's just a cool guy who doesn't look at explosions. And so it begins. After hearing a lot about how idiotic this entire battle is, I have to say it really does live up to the anti-hype of being an incoherent memberberry mess and a complete piece of shit. How do you fuck this up? How do you mess up the easiest part of a show, giving free reign to your CGI masters to at least make something visually awesome, just to turn around and hamper it with the most shoddy, shitty plotting of a battle scene stretched out to a full-length episode? First of all, not only do we not care about any of the characters involved in this battle, it's not even tense enough in its own right because of illogical decisions and shit planning. So here we go, time to take on the fight scene and mock the characters and dialogue as we go along. I'm not letting this get me down. Adar's orcs are using trebuchets to launch fiery, exploding bomb things at Eregion. They're after Sauron, which is fair enough, that's the plan.
You have proven your quality, Merdania.
Seal clap counter guys, he said the thing. Apparently this mountain was just hanging on by a thread, but they built a city under it anyway. And some rocks being tossed into them shake the whole thing loose and it collapses into the river. What the fuck? I'm not an expert, but I don't think that's how dams work. But clearly the writers aren't experts either. We are in a fantasy show, but it's hard to suspend your disbelief when things are this stupid. Where's the water gonna go? Home? Switching it back to the dwarves for a moment, King Durin's gone fucking crazy and wants to dig for Mithril and thus disrupt the Balrog's ancient Garfield nap. While dealing with all this happy horse shit, Ginger Dwarf gets wind that his good buddy Elrond has arrived.
Elrond?
My heart sings to see you, old friend.
Well, I know Elrond will be kissing someone in this show, and I think I know who he wants it to be. Meow. Elrond promises Ginger a good time if he helps him in the Battle of Oregano, and he says the thing.
I need your axe, old friend.
Back to the pseudo-wannabe Battle of Helm's Deep, because it's painfully obvious what the show wants to remind you of. The orcs are crossing the giant mud pit that used to be a river, which makes absolutely no fucking sense and drives me insane. Top that tomfoolery off with the number of memberberries coming up, and this episode might be the worst one yet, at least until the finale. Sauron runs in to discuss bullshit with Celebrimbor, and Cuckboys realized he's in a fever dream and is like, "I'm tired of you pushing me around."
You sought peace. I gave it to you.
Whatever this is hardly a gift. What have you done to me?
I have to commend Charles Edwards' performance as Celebrimbor. It's a pretty admirable bit of acting as he descends into madness and starts to recognize what's happening. It's just too bad the character he's playing as written is an absolute dumbass of the upteenth degree. So it's just fucking cringe. Soras explodes on old Cucky Boy, who walks outside to witness the destruction of the city, and the dude just totally fucking loses it. Cuckabrim puts his hand in some goo and he asks, "What's this?" And Soras just kind of gives the and surprises him with facts. Who's that goo belong to? Bingo, baby. Wait, so now Mithril doesn't matter if it's replaced with Sauron's blood? What the fuck is even happening?
I have many names.
And he said the thing. The battle rages outside in a desperate attempt to remind you of Helm's Deep. You know, that amazing battle from the Two Towers that actually had a real sense of scale and emotional weight? Cucky Boy runs out and finds Merdania, who he pleads his case to, but now he sounds like a fucking crazy guy, and she's like, "Art thou giving me the ick?" and backs away.
You have to believe me!
My guy goes nuts trying to convince them that the blonde Dr. Disrespect is Sauron, but he's unhinged, so they're just like, nah. Merdania grabs Celebrimbor's arm and pleads with him, and he swings demanding she release him. And Sauron takes advantage and force pushes her the fuck off the side of this walkway. Holy shit. This actually made me laugh out loud. She somehow doesn't die from the landing, but basically ends up like Mason Verger in Hannibal and gets slaughtered by the orcs. Holy shit. If you're not laughing at this show by now, you're the target audience. The elves arrive and charge off after the orcs, but Adar reveals their kryptonite. Strong woman all tied up and imprisoned. Then this super subtle and confusing imagery pops up on the screen. All the elves are in the light, while all the orcs are in shadow. Not over the top and on the nose at all, it's certainly a glaring admission by the people who run this show that they don't pay attention to their own themes, and forget plot elements at the drop of a hat for a memberberry or some blunt force messaging. Orcs are being portrayed in this show as sympathetic. There was an entire section of an episode dedicated to painting that picture. So why are they in the darkness being portrayed as the ultimate all bad as they're supposed to be? Aren't they just trying to get home to their kids? Adar wants Galadriel's ring in exchange for her life, but Elrond's like, nah. Adar, being the worst military strategist in history, explains his buffoonery of a plan. Considering Sauron their joint enemy, he attacked Eregion because every elf within its walls is now under the Dark Lord's shadow. Sure, besides the hundreds that were about to kill your army, that you could try and broker a deal regarding your mutual enemy, this guy is a buffoon. Elrond asks to bid her a farewell, and the music swells and swells into a romantic twirl as he caresses her face and moves in for the kiss. Wait, what the fuck? Aren't these two related? What kind of fuck canon tomfoolery is this now? Canon definitely matters, except when it doesn't. Rings of Power pitch meeting. Elrond says the dwarves will be arriving at sunlight, and he'll make sure Eregion holds for one more night, as seen in the Two Towers at the Battle of Helm's Deep. I mean, the Battle of Eregion. Inside the Dwarf Dome, Ginger Dwarf gets everyone hyped up to go and help Elrond, but his dad doesn't look too happy about it. Speaking of Elrond, he's fighting orcs and his horse has its throat slashed, and he's like, oh no you didn't, and kills the orc who does the bullshit knife lick thing, because you'll remember that from Peter Jackson's movies. And then he bends down to tend to the horse you don't care about. You know in slasher movies where you don't care if a person dies? Yeah, it's just like that, but here they mean it. Adar is dealing with some sympathetic pussy orcs.
His troops have already destroyed 5 of our trebuchets. Many Uruk are dying. What are your orders, Lord Father?
So again, are they all evil or are they sympathetic? Or is it just whatever the plot needs it to be in the moment?
Adar! Nam Kibakai. Kinam Shubakai.
So we're just going full-blown bullshit. Okay, so Adar enters the tent where Galadriel was being guarded by one fucking dude. You'd think Adar, the caliber of being that once defeated Sauron, he'd be a lot smarter than to leave this prized possession under the watchful eye of Officer Dookie. Galadriel's dropping member berries. Hey, remember when Sam and Frodo dressed as orcs in Return of the King? I remember. Oh, I remember. She's caught and is about to be outed by a few orcs when Blackula shows up to save the day because of course he does. Why the fuck is he here at just the exact moment he's needed? Fucking because, baby, that's why. Back to the dwarfs, King Durin is gone full Jack Torrance and is killing everyone via axe. And Celebrimbor is gaslit by Sauron for hopefully the last time as he finishes up the rings. He's trying desperately to get out of his chains and he comes up with a solution. He remembers the plot of Heavy Rain and cuts off his own thumb. And wouldn't you know it, he runs into Galadriel, because you can't get more convenient than that. And they have a therapy session over there, shared love of Sauron. He hands her the rings and says, remember what Christopher Walken had to do in Pulp Fiction with that watch. Elrond and random Asian elf bum rush, something of importance I guess, and she gets shot with arrows and heroically tries to fight back, because you remember when this happened to Boromir, right? Only a slight difference between the two. You actually cared about Boromir because it was the conclusion to a beautifully painted character arc, a poignant moment of a man's last stand after nearly falling victim to the ring and almost betraying his friends. Here it's some random person that you've never fucking seen before, so it's exclusively here for the visual reminder of something that's the same but better. Next, the troll that was built up as a big deal is finally unleashed, so that it can die and not be worth the screen time it was just devoted after they got it before it makes any major impact at all. What the fuck? Why was this guy even here? Well, how about some expectation subversion? Remember when Gandalf arrived at First Light? Well, the dwarves are supposed to, and they don't. Nice, right? Subversion, right? They lose and Adar gets Strong Woman's ring from Elrond. As the episode ends and the credits roll, it sounds like Middle-earth Marilyn Manson starts to play. What the fuck, this fucking shit. Episode 8. We start off in Khazad-dûm, where the ring, that's by all accounts as powerful and manipulative as the One Ring will eventually be, has taken over the king. Stop me when this isn't cringe.
No matter what you hear, do not follow me down that mine.
Ginger Dwarf's like, take off the ring right now! And the king's like, nah, and calls him a pussy. And Ginger's like, you're right, father, I am a pussy, and proceeds to talk about how much of a pussy he is. As he's speaking, the shot is just of King Durin staring off like this, and I just started laughing after a few seconds when I realized we're supposed to take this seriously. I don't know, man, if this was a comedy, the comedic timing was impeccable. The king's like, LOL, shut up, and knocks down the wall anyway, and behold the motherfucking Balrog. The CGI is incredible for this creature, not gonna lie, but we get a member berry to interrupt any compliments I might have. The king gets his Gandalf moment and leaps at the Balrog, and I'm shocked he didn't scream, you shall not pass, as he did. We finally catch back up to the 40th character we're following, not Gandalf, who happens to run into not Saruman. You can tell he's totally not Saruman by the way he keeps calling Grand Elf old friend.
My faith in you, old friend,
did not.
Gandalf says, I was told you wish to ally yourself with Sauron. And Totally Not Saruman says, who, me? The Not Nazgul, holding the Not Hobbits hostage, are promptly taken out. Props to the hair and makeup team for making a horrendous beard and wig for Not Yuman. Not Yuman says some cryptic shit because remember, who he is a mystery. And Not Saruman the Dark Wizard gets Green Goblin sized upset when Gandalf says no thank you.
No one says no to me!
And he tries to crush people with boulders like an absolute savage. Back to another set of characters, Jesus Christ. Pharazôn tells the High Priest that Blind Lady has an ally, Sauron himself. And when this guy speaks, I laugh every time.
All so-called faithful are now declared traitors of Westerness.
All so-called faithful are now declared traitors of Westerness. Shit gets riled and they're out to get Elendil.
What cowardice have I ever shown to make you think I would even consider making safe my own skin at the peril of yours?
What cringe have I ever heard that compares to the cringe I just heard? And surprise, surprise, another nostalgia bait unearned character moment incoming. Elendil is handed a sword and he wields it in the same manner Aragorn did in Return of the King. A sickeningly cheap nostalgia moment for an unearned accolade. The moment in Return of the King was emotionally compelling because we had 3 movies leading up to it. It's not just a man raising a sword, it's a major turning point for the character of Aragorn, and the sword represents more than the sum of its parts. In this scene, Elendil gets a sword and it couldn't possibly resonate emotionally the same way Aragorn's did. Here it comes out of nowhere between 2 characters who have zero chemistry or interesting history. It wasn't just a turning point for Aragorn, it was a change of heart and faith in Elrond too. The Rings of Power scene can only exist to remind you of a time this did work in another piece of media. And what kind of film or television making method is that besides a completely fucking stupid one? Oh look, Galadriel slaughtering all the innocent orcs. Back in Eregion, Sauron's torturing Celebrimbor pretty gruesomely, I must say, and cringe. The director of this episode loves hovering on laugh-inducing shots that are meant to be dramatic, so Celebrimbor just hangs there like a fucking dummy and spouts some bullshit. But he also says the thing, Lord of the Rings. And Sauron fucking cries. He cries. What the fuck? Hey, remember that kid who isn't Blackulus's son and Isildur who lost his trifling lady to another man? Well, she comes in to tell him how awesome everything's going, and her line delivery is just incredible.
Hagen started laying the foundation a few days ago. When he laid the cornerstone, he asked the gods to keep our love strong as long as the home stood.
Her acting might be worse than the show itself. Him and his new woman try and board a ship, but his old buddy is like,
Get fucked!
I accept your terms, Uruk. I have what Sauron seeks.
what the fuck is up with these Dutch angles? Did Kenneth Branagh direct this turd? Adar shows strong woman the ring pop he got from the quarter machine, and he has at last restored. Instead of going on Freddy Krueger, he looks like an alcoholic with cirrhosis. Adar hands her the ring back and asks her to help him destroy Sauron with it. And if she does, he'll never wage war on Middle-earth again. Wait, what the fuck? Now you shift gears and want to help after all? I take anything good back I said about this character. Adar fucking sucks. Just in time because he gets stabbed to death for his trouble. The script wants this to be a noble death because he just had a babyface turn 2 seconds ago. But now I'm just watching an insufferable character with an unnatural motivation die. Oh no, an incoherent puddle of nothing is dead. Gil-galad is here and I'd forgotten all about him because he spent 95% of the show standing around a dying tree asking, "Wherefore art thou?" And the epic duel to end the season commences when Galadriel confronts Sauron. And they kind of flick their swords at each other a little bit. This is the biggest pussy way to end a season you could muster for a high fantasy series. This is it? Really? He turns his outfit and hair color and he finds her kryptonite. Brown hair. She gets weak at the knees for Chad, but keeps fighting until he stabs her and turns this into something I can enjoy. Galadriel dying, now that's a win. She stands back up and fakes the handoff to Sauron and yeets herself off a cliff. You can't make this shit up. She just Robocops herself. Back at Eregion, the dwarves finally arrive to save the day, and Blackula, who was stabbed to death last episode, completely forgets about all that and is totally fine. Elrond and the crew find Galadriel immediately, because of course they do, and they save her, because of course they can. She wakes up and they decide to take the fight to Sauron in 2 years' time when next season drops. And after about 20 utterances of Gandalf, it's finally revealed for the 3 people who will be shocked, this guy is Gandalf. And apparently his buddy wants to join this band of not hobbits out of fucking nowhere. I thought she wanted to see the world, or did we just completely forget about that? Anyway, the plot needs them to split up, so she forgets her original motivations and pivots on a dime to make way for the story to happen. Oh, and not Gandalf finds his stick too. There you go. Fuck this show. He returns to Mom Bombadils, who has the most vanilla line delivery in the show.
A wizard does not find his staff. It finds him, like his name.
Gandalf.
Then dipshit Tom impromptu sings about himself, describing himself in attire he's not even wearing. To summarize, Gandalf finds out his real name by being asked, "Is it your name?" And he's like, "Yeah." And Bomb Bombadil goes, "It was all a test. Now sit down and sing a song about me, bitch." Okay. Oh, and in the Dwarf Dome, Ginger Dwarf learns, "You're not the preferred heir to the throne. Your brother might be." Wait, what? He has a brother. And at no point in 2 seasons have we ever heard about this. This show sucks so much ass. The end of season 2. If you watch this like it's the Sony Spider-Man universe and just plan on pointing and laughing at it, you might enjoy Rings of Power. It has a sheen to it visually. So it's kind of like professionals came in and cleaned up a Tommy Wiseau movie the best they could. The full season compilation with post-season commentary is on its way, or Requiem for a Turd, I should say. And we'll see you then. GG's.